Hello everyone, it's Piotr, and today we'll be doing a monolith.
Okay, photos.
So this is pretty simple. Let's first load our photos. The first photo we will use is by Luca from Unsplash. Thanks, Luca. Let's scale it up to our canvas. The canvas is just full HD and nothing else. And let's take another photo. The second photo is from Andre. Thanks, Andre. We need those water splashes. You will see later how. Oh, sorry, you already did how. Let's put them somewhere around. I guess here's okay. So, the first part. Let us copy the background layer and rename them. Just to keep it nice and tidy, always name your layers. Seriously. Water ripple. Okay. So this will keep as our backup. And this is our background, our main layer. So we copy that layer again. And now let's do the shape of the monolith. It's pretty much as per usual, as you already see, something like a prism. So we pick up the rectangle tool. And we drew our monolith. Let's be something like that. Now we go to perspective tool. And we stretch a little bit from one side on the bottom and on the right. Now it's adding a little bit of perspective to that. And we can move it around a little bit. Okay, so we have our monolith. What we need to do now is actually make the second copy of our background layer seen through the monolith. So first of all, let's make a reflection on that. How we can do it? Let's transform the layer horizontally. And this, let's rasterize to mask. And boom! We have our, more or less, the window of the monolith. And what we can do now, pretty much as you can see, we can see the image under our background layer through this window. So let's simply make it a little bit different. Let's call this the monolith. And you need to click lock children, because now when you move this, you move the whole thing, the mask and the background layer for our monolith. If you click lock children, the children will be locked in place. So now you only move the background layer. So we can, for example, choose how do we want to see our reflection. And let's say this will be cool. Okay, this will be nice. And this is pretty much our reflection for our monolith. So how to make a reflection? Let's just simply blur it out. Gaussian blur, and add a little bit of that blur. That's it, that's the bottom line. You can of course play with this as much as possible. What can we do next? Let's go to layer effects, outer glow, and let's add a little bit of glow. Like the sun is shining, slipping on the edges of the monolith. Maybe this is a little bit too much. Let's lower down the intensity. Increase the radius, just play around. When you like it, just leave it as this. Maybe a little bit less. We can always lower down the opacity to have fine-tune those parameters for us. Okay, it's barely visible, but I kinda like it that way. Although edges should be always a bit sharper. That's a tad too much. Okay, to not just simply overdo it. This is the rules, not the perfect end graphic, so let's keep it at that. Okay, so we have pretty much our monolith right now. So what can we do next? Let's maybe try and add those water ripples. Okay, this is like the colors are all around the place instead of those colors that we actually want to have here. So let's try and blend this with some blend mode. I would go with soft light, and it actually looks good, but let's just go for a couple of different. Yep, multiply, not working. Darken also. Lighten doesn't really work. What we would like to have is get rid of everything around and only have these wrinkles on the water. Yeah, let's leave it with soft light for now. We can always sharpen this a little bit later on. And as you can see, we have a little bit of color cast for the rest, but do we really care? Because it's not really visible, but let's take a look into this and let's see how can we fix this actually. Okay, so I would go with the HSL adjustment layer pretty much to fix those colors, especially those yellows that are around here, for instance, and just move it around to make them as perfect as possible. If not, we will just simply remove a little bit of that. Okay, that didn't work. Let's just simply remove that layer for now, and let's simply delete a little bit of stuff. But deleting is wrong, so let's do a mask. So now we have a mask for the ripple effect. We use the paintbrush with B, and with black we actually remove stuff, as you can see here on the edges, removing this and make it blend a little bit better. Just play with this. It's very simple, it's very nice. You don't have to be perfect. We are just learning the rules and the guides. Okay, as far as I can tell, it looks a lot better. Obviously there is a color cast here, but it just as well might be the water that is actually that color, so it doesn't really seem to the naked eye, as far as I can tell. It's not that bad. Okay, so we have this. We have our ripple effect. Let's try and make it, for example, a little bit sharper. So we go to the live filters and let's choose the unsharp mask. And if we add, for example, this to the max, we still see some remnants of the original layer, but we don't care because we don't see those either way. As you can see, those small ripples here are pretty cool. We can always change the colors later because those oranges aren't really here, so this shouldn't be reflecting with that color. But I would say the ripples are pretty okay. Maybe a little bit lower. And I will leave it at that. And now let's fix the colors. Let's go with the HSL adjustment and simply manually pick the oranges. Oranges, I want those oranges to simply be gone. So let's try and do this. As you can see, we pretty much can change those oranges. Let's now find a decent color for us that will work. This green looks very promising. And desaturation. Desaturation really usually works. As simple as that. Now this blue here, it's a little bit too blue. Let's try and go with the teal color. Let's use the color picker for that. Yeah, didn't change it much, but let's go a little bit here. And let's see what can we do about that. And the perfect green, of course. This is very saturated green. Let's desaturate that. And perfection. The color is back. Okay guys, so we have the water ripple already and our monolith. So what can we do next? So for the next item, let's actually do the reflection of that inside the water. But first, let's put something under the monolith. Make this as a group. When you are naming your layers, I know almost nobody does that, but it makes you feel a lot better about your work and you are able to focus a lot more because you actually do put in the more time and energy into that. And those little details really do the difference. Monolith group with text. And the text I will describe in a moment. So yeah, let's add some text, and so it will be a lot easier for everyone. Let's add simple wildcards. 5 and 3, it's 8, yes. So now we can select the whole text, and with scroll, or just simply click here and select the size. Okay, so now this is obviously wrong, because we need to fit everything here, and how do you do it without resizing, rastering everything, and so on? You go to character view, or window, or toolbar, and there is this here. And leading override, you just simply scroll it down, or just pick something from the menu that looks decent, and then you scroll additionally to fix this. Okay, there's a tad too much here. 1, 2, 3. Yes, okay. And does this look decent? I would say I would add a little bit of that override, so we will have a little bit more space in between. We cannot really add too much because there's already very little to work with. Let's lower down the font size. Yep, something like that. And then maybe increase this a little bit. Okay, this pretty much works. Let's just move this perfectly into the middle of the monolith. Okay, I would say maybe a tad lower. Okay, I need this. Yes, now it's perfect. Okay, so obviously it doesn't look very natural, I would say. So we can get back to the layers and let's play with the text. We can use the layer effects and add bevel or emboss. And let's try to do something with that. So it will be a little bit more 3D. Just play around with this. You don't really need to do anything perfectly. Play with the opacity. We'll then change the opacity on the whole text because we want this mirror effect at least a little bit. Okay, it's not bad, I would say, because under the opacity we can't really see anything behind those letters because it's pretty much pure white and the effect would be simply hard to get, but I would say it doesn't look that bad. Okay, so pretty much there's that. It shouldn't be, I mean, if you want you can do this a lot more visible. I choose to stick with that. And this text we can move in our monolith group. So okay, we already have this. What can we do more? The reflection of the monolith in the water. We already have ripples. So we choose the whole group. Ctrl J, we copy everything. Monolith reflection. Enter, yes. And let's just rasterize this and trim. And boom. And now we go here, we transform this and we flip this vertically. And we just move it down. Oh, and we still have to flip this horizontal so the reflection will be the same. So this is perfectly in line. Are the ripples of the water perfectly in line? I'm not sure. I maybe would like to move this a little bit. Or maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay, this is nice. Okay, so the monolith reflection. Pretty much we need to lower down the opacity, because obviously it won't be as hard as the original one. It should be a lot less. The green color should be desaturated for that, because it shouldn't be that hard of a reflection. So we go to the HSL adjustment layer, we choose green and just increase the luminosity. Let's choose the picker. Yes, and increase the luminosity for that. And a little bit add some more greenish or bluish tint so the water will be reflected. Okay, so there's that. I like it actually. I would additionally add to the reflection the ripple effect, which will emulate water, as you can see. This is obviously not what we want, but Just so it will be a little bit curved, that's all we need. And we can click around here, or in the center of that. And there should be less ripples the closer you are to your subject. So you can't go with like 300 because obviously it won't work, as you can see right now. It's not perfect, but I think it's still working pretty decent. Okay, I would keep with that. Let's lower down the opacity further. So what else can we do? Well, the monolith should be 3D. In the reflection we don't see anything of 3D, we just see a mirror reflection. So let's go to the monolith reflection layer, choose a white brush, just a regular one. And let's just add a little bit of 3D here. Just paint, sorry, it's black with white paint. A simple line here and a simple line here. Okay, let's try this again because it looked terrible. Okay, I don't like this. Let's do this one more time with less flow. Only add a tad, check. Do we see something? Yes, but it would be nice if there would be something actually inside, so we can use the stamp clone brush tool, select some water here and just paint it over here. Remember to select layers beneath, so everything will be selected, and here we can add a little bit of reflection of the underside of the monolith. We still are seeing those trees, unfortunately, but there's not much we can do about that. Let's just play around and see, is it okay? No, it's hideous, so let's fix this. Let's lower our flow and hardness, and let's try and paint a little bit of that again. Okay guys, I would pretty much sit down with this. Not perfect, obviously, but at least we know that there is some shape that is being reflected. And since this is being reflected straight down, it should be pretty much green as the water under it. So pretty much we have our monolith. We have our reflection. We added some nice ripples inside the water. What else can we do? This green doesn't really correspond with that green here or this green here. Let's add a global HSL adjustment layer and see what can we do about that. Let's choose the picker and pick our greens, and let's try and shift this a little bit. Yes, as you can see, those colors we need to change into more or less other green. Now this is a lot better, as you can see. Before, after. Before, after. Very subtle difference, but it is there. Let's move forward to the right. Okay, now this is pure blissful green. Let's lower the saturation a little bit. Okay, I think we pretty much got it. This is very, very similar to that. But this is actually in the shadows, so it will be more saturated. And this is very, very bright. So those colors also should be different. But obviously there is a little bit difference here. Let's try to fix this. I will add a little bit here. A little bit lighter color, maybe. Okay, this is yellowish. This is bad. Okay, let's stick with this. Now we can choose the picker and grab this green here. And let's try to do something around that. You see? Now we can change the green with it. A little bit add blue to that. And it is a lot more similar to the right part. which I like. It's a little bit desaturated, so it's not that bright, contrasty, you know, this GoPro look when everything is overly saturated. Now, this is very nice, I like that, but this is now a little bit too much saturated. So let's get back and try to saturate this a little bit further, maybe. Only a tad, yes. And choose another picker, and let's choose something from here. And desaturate those greens. As you can see, everything is being desaturated on the right and on the left hand side, so pretty much this is the same, which we want. I might not be seeing this right now, but we know that this is the same color, so it is very nice. Let's just play around with this here a little bit more, so we will have a proper, better effect. This is blue. This is greenish, but not yet. This is actually pretty nice. Let's desaturate this a little bit. Yes, this is a lot better than it was. We did desaturate also our monolith, but do we care? I wouldn't say. Everything looks very good. The question is if this green here corresponds with this here. I would say it's a lot more. It is a lot more green because of the water. You can think like that. I don't really see any more issues with that photo. Leave me a comment. What would you change additionally? We could play around with those yellows and oranges here, but I don't really care. It cannot be purely green throughout the whole frame, because it will be a little bit crazy. And let's try to add, for example, the vibrance and saturation. Just let's have fun with this right now, because it's pretty much done. And what will happen if we increase the saturation? Pretty much there's that. Let's delete this layer. And now let's try to have fun with the HSL adjustment. I will just simply choose greens from here, from the default values. And let's make it, for example, an autumn. And increase the saturation. Totally different color grading. Does it look nice? I would say it all depends on what do you want to go with. Okay, so let's do a fast recap on how to do a simple floating monolith over the water. You have your background image. Copy that. Rename the layer. Now we have the group with the monolith. Copy the background layer for the monolith and create a mask. Or create a mask and copy the background layer. Now we have our window where we can see the monolith, as you can see here. You can move around the whole monolith as much as you like. No problem with that. You can also move around only the mask. Just simply remember to use lock children option here at the top. Now add a little bit of Gaussian blur, so it's reflecting the magical stuff you see around. And add a little bit text to it. You can put anything you want here, like, I don't know, fuck Trump, fuck Biden, whatever. Now, we need to do a monolith reflection. So we pretty much copied the layer with the monolith and we flip it upside down. Then we add a little bit of a ripple effect and maybe a little bit HSL adjustment to desaturate the colors. Another layer is the water ripple reflection. So this is our main layer, and we add a little bit of masking, so it will be a lot better and not that visible. We do add unsharp mask, so the ripples will be a lot sharper and better visible. And HSL adjustment, so we can actually shift the colors so everything will be like it belongs on the same picture. Additionally, we added a little bit of a reflection that is adding the 3D effect to our monolith. And remember to add the layer effect about the outer glow here on the layer effect panel for the monolith. The outer glow. monolith will be glowing and will be a lot better visible, and that is pretty much the effect of the sun that is slipping on the edges. And that's it. Then you can play with HSL adjustment, and that's it. This is how you create your monolith floating water effect with a message to someone you love or someone you hate. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more, if you like this, feel free to share, like, sub, and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.